Think about planting a tree. You don't just wake up one morning to find a giant oak shading your entire yard, do you? No, you place a seed in the soil. You give it water. You give it sun. You shield it from the worst of the storms. And day by day, month by month, it grows. The change is so gradual, so microscopic, that you barely notice it. But give it a few years, and that tiny, fragile seed has transformed into something solid, something magnificent. Your life is no different. The goals you desperately crave, vibrant health, unbreakable relationships, true financial freedom, they don't appear overnight. They are born from the soil of tiny, consistent daily actions. Take a look at the habits you dismiss as insignificant. Reading just 10 pages of a profound book each evening. 10 pages, not a chapter, not the whole book. It feels like nothing, right? But do that every single day for a year, and you've just absorbed over 3,500 pages of wisdom. Can you even comprehend the mental advantage that gives you over everyone else? And that's just one thread. When you weave that thread with another, making your bed the moment you get up, setting aside a few dollars from every paycheck, taking a 10-minute walk to clear your head, the effects don't just add up. They multiply. They compound. Most people will never understand this. They're chasing a lottery ticket, praying for a miracle. But true, lasting success, it doesn't crash onto the scene like a thunderstorm. It arrives silently, on the back of 1,000 small, repeated, seemingly invisible victories. With every single day that you honor the promise you made to yourself, you earn a small win. Every time you turn away from the distraction that tries to pull you from your path, you claim another small win. Each time you invest, even for a moment, in your skills, your network, or your well-being, you secure yet another small win. And the most astonishing part? These wins have a secret momentum. They build on each other, growing faster and faster than you could ever predict. But there is a dark side to this law. There's a catch. Compounding is impartial. It works against you just as powerfully as it works for you. That workout you skipped, that hour you lost scrolling, that promise you ignored, these are the small defeats that grow in the dark. They feel harmless in the moment, but over months and years, they will bury you under a mountain of regret. The gap between a life of triumph and a life of tragedy isn't forged in a few massive decisions. It's carved out by the thousands of daily choices, the small wins that either build your destiny or silently erode it away. So today, right now, I want you to truly see the power contained in your small victories. I want you to grant them the respect they deserve. You don't need a flawless, grand-scale plan to begin. You just need consistency. You need an obsession with the details. You need the discipline to honor the small things, because it is only the small things, when compounded relentlessly over time, that deliver the kind of monumental results that a single flashy effort could never, ever produce. Success is not an event. It is a process. It is a long chain of small victories, each one nurtured with care, day after day after day. The unstoppable force of the compounding effect will handle the rest. Let's truly understand the foundation of these small wins, because the core principle is this: success is rarely loud. Most people are waiting for the fireworks, for the deafening applause, but the truth is much quieter, much slower, and infinitely more powerful. I recall a young man I met many years ago, a man desperate to rebuild his life from the ground up. He didn't start by launching a million-dollar enterprise. He started by taking 10 minutes each morning to write down his definite chief aim. That was his first win. Then he committed to 30 minutes of reading each day. That was win number 2. And every single week, he added one more small, deliberate action: a call to a potential mentor, a 5-minute review of his budget, a walk after his evening meal. None of it felt world-changing on its own. Yet after 1 year, his life was utterly unrecognizable. Small wins create momentum. Imagine trying to roll a giant snowball. At first, it's an impossible weight. You push with all your might, and it barely budges. It resists. You start to wonder if the effort is even worth it. But with each shove, you add just a little more force, a little more motion, and then it begins to roll on its own. It gathers more snow, more size, more speed as it descends. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, it is an unstoppable avalanche. Your life operates on this very same principle. Your small wins generate momentum, and once that momentum starts, the bigger victories become exponentially easier to achieve. But momentum is not born from good intentions. It is born from action, repeated, consistent, non-negotiable action. How often do I hear people say, "I just don't have time to work on myself right now"? Yet real improvement doesn't demand hours upon hours. It demands small, intentional deposits. 5 minutes of quiet reflection, 10 minutes of focused reading, a single phone call, a small transfer into your savings. These are the actions compounded over time that separate the life of mediocrity from the life of mastery. And here is the secret key to it all. The effect of your small wins is exponential, not linear. One small victory today doesn't just add to tomorrow's, it multiplies it. And that one multiplies the next. Like a chain reaction, your efforts expand quietly, but with overwhelming power. The only price of admission is patience and persistence. You cannot expect a single action to redefine your existence. You cannot believe one good day will determine your destiny. But over weeks and months and years, those small wins will accumulate into something so remarkable it will take your breath away. So the question is not whether small wins matter. The question is whether you will finally commit to them, whether you will respect them, track them, and defend them. Because when you do, they will build a foundation strong enough to carry you toward goals that you once believed were impossible. The real grinding work of success is done in the shadows. It's built from the small victories that everyone else is too busy, too distracted, or too arrogant to notice. It's in the things most people dismiss as too small to matter. But those very things, when compounded, become the undeniable difference between a life of aimless drifting and a life of definite purpose. Most people fall into the trap of chasing the spectacular. They hold this deep-seated belief that life-altering change must come from some massive heroic effort or a sudden dramatic breakthrough. They stare at the peak of the mountain and convince themselves they have to leap straight to the summit in a single bound. But here is the profound and counterintuitive truth. The peak is never reached by leaps. It is reached by a long series of careful, deliberate, repeated steps. The very small wins you are tempted to ignore are the footholds that carry you to the top. I have witnessed this truth play out time and time again. A young professional I knew was determined to increase his income. He didn't take some wild, speculative risk or get lucky. He began by choosing to master one single skill, just one that he used in his daily work. Each week he practiced it a little more, studied it a little deeper, and applied it with more focus. Inevitably, he became noticeably better than his peers. That small, consistent daily improvement led to more significant projects, more valuable clients, and eventually, the promotions he sought. The compounding effect of his small wins carried him further and faster than any reckless shortcut ever could. The truly fascinating part, however, is what these small wins do to your mind. Each tiny victory is a dose of fuel for your confidence. It fortifies your discipline. It reinforces the core belief that your efforts, no matter how small, actually matter. And on the flip side, each small loss, each broken promise to yourself, erodes that confidence and makes the next action feel even harder. Think of it as building a muscle. You don't walk into a gym on day one and lift a crushing weight. You start with something manageable, and you lift it over and over. The reps are what build the strength. Small wins are the repetitions that strengthen the muscles of your life, your willpower, your focus, your unbreakable consistency. And here is the part that almost everyone misses. Those small wins begin to alter your environment. People notice consistency. They are drawn to progress, no matter how minor it seems at first. Your colleagues, your family, your community, they see the person who takes their small commitments seriously. And that perception, that reputation, it compounds as well, opening doors and creating opportunities that would have remained invisible if your efforts were merely sporadic flashes of intensity. Now, let's confront the challenge we all inevitably face. As humans, we are wired for instant results. The mind fights against the idea of slow, incremental progress. But success, true success, demands patience. Those small wins might feel insignificant in the moment, but the magic of compounding is always working silently in the background, multiplying your efforts. That young professional who mastered one skill, the friend who made one small gesture of kindness each day in a relationship, the person who saved just a tiny amount of money each month, they all experience a kind of invisible acceleration. Time itself begins to do the heavy lifting for you, once the small wins are consistently put into motion. So if you are sitting there waiting for some monumental event to change your life, you are missing the entire point. Focus on the small wins, master them, respect them, track them. Because over time, these small daily victories will compound, they will accelerate, and they will carry you to a life that most people can only ever dream of. And here's the most powerful part. If you start today, right now, no matter where you are, you can begin to build a momentum that will surge into every single area of your life. But listen to me closely. Theory is only as valuable as the action it inspires. You can understand the law of compounding with perfect clarity, but unless you put it into deliberate practice, nothing in your world will change. The key is to identify the few small wins that matter most in your life and commit to them. Not someday, not when you feel like it, today. Look at how you manage your money. So many people believe that saving requires huge sums. They wait for a massive raise or a lucky break. Yet saving even a tiny fraction of what you earn consistently is what compounds into real wealth. Imagine setting aside just the cost of a single coffee each day. It seems like nothing on its own, but with discipline, over months and years, it quietly grows into a financial cushion that provides freedom, security, and confidence. That is the compounding effect in real time. It's the exact same principle with learning. You don't have to enroll in some long, expensive program to sharpen your mind. 10 minutes of focused study a day, 5 days a week, transforms into a body of knowledge that cannot be ignored. Skills accumulate, ideas connect. Before you know it, you possess a mental library of insight and practical ability that others would take years of passive learning to achieve. Small, consistent actions will always outweigh rare, massive bursts of effort, every single time. And your health? It works the exact same way. You don't need extreme diets or punishing marathon-level workouts to see improvement. Start with a single small action, a brisk 15-minute walk each day, drinking 1 extra glass of water, adding 1 more vegetable to your dinner plate. Do it consistently. Weeks pass, months pass, your energy begins to climb, your body starts to respond, and you begin to feel that unstoppable momentum taking over, as the compounding effect turns small, disciplined actions into visible, tangible results. Now, here is perhaps the most critical point of all. You must track your wins. Small victories, when ignored, have a tendency to fade from our memory, leaving us feeling like we've made no progress. Write them down. Check them off on a calendar. Celebrate them, even if it's just with a quiet moment of self-acknowledgement. Each recorded win reinforces your confidence and strengthens the habit, making the next win easier. Compounding is not some mystical force, it is methodical. It is invisible, yes, until the moment the accumulation becomes so great that it is utterly undeniable. And once it becomes undeniable, it alters the trajectory of your entire life. The power of small wins is available to anyone who chooses to wield it. You don't need extraordinary gifts or special luck. You need intention, consistency, and patience. Identify the small actions that will move the needle. Commit to them with unwavering discipline, and let the law of compounding do the rest. The results will come, often when you least expect them, quietly transforming your life in ways you once thought were impossible. Now, we must speak about the obstacles, because I promise you, they are coming for you. The law of compounding works beautifully when everything is smooth, but life will test your resolve. Securing small wins demands discipline, especially in the face of distractions, resistance, and inevitable setbacks. This is the precise point where most people fail. They start with great enthusiasm, they take a few steps forward, and then they surrender the moment something inconvenient gets in their way. But the singular difference between a person who drifts through life and a person who commands their destiny is the absolute refusal to let small obstacles derail the momentum of their small wins. I have seen this more times than I can count. A young man I knew wanted to write a book. His commitment was simple, 300 words a day. That's it. Some days, the work was agonizing. He was tired, distracted, or felt completely uninspired. But he did it anyway. He honored his small daily goal. Months later, the book was finished. The secret wasn't a flash of brilliance or a stroke of luck. It was that consistent, small win, repeated without fail, even and especially when the conditions were far from perfect. The true magic of small wins is revealed in how they compound under pressure. When you meet resistance, each victory counts for double. A workout completed on a day you would rather do anything else compounds your mental toughness far more than the easy workouts do. A deposit into your savings, made despite an unexpected expense, compounds your financial discipline more than one made when cash is flowing freely. Discipline in your small actions, especially when challenged, multiplies your results exponentially, because life rewards consistency in the face of adversity. Think about the strategic power of this. The person who invests in their skills when their job is most demanding will reap an even greater advantage down the road. The leader who works to strengthen relationships when tensions are high builds a loyalty that will carry their team through any crisis. Every single small win you achieve during a period of struggle is like adding rocket fuel to your momentum. Compounding accelerates most dramatically when consistent action meets and overcomes resistance. I need you to see this with absolute clarity. The compounding effect is not a fair weather friend. It thrives in the struggle. The difference between those who drift and those who succeed is not the absence of obstacles. It is the small wins they stack up in spite of them. It is the daily disciplines that pile up quietly and imperceptibly until their results become an undeniable force of nature. A manager I once coached wanted to transform the toxic culture of his team. He began with one small action, offering a brief, specific word of recognition to one person each morning. At first, some were cynical, some ignored it, and on some days it felt completely pointless. Yet he persisted. Each small, positive gesture compounded. Within a few months, the team's morale had shifted. Cooperation increased. Results improved. A single consistent effort, a chain of small wins, changed the entire dynamic of a group of people. Obstacles will always rise to meet you, but the compounding effect of small wins guarantees that if you refuse to let setbacks break your stride, each day's effort is building a future you cannot yet see. The key is to treat your small wins like sacred deposits into the bank account of your life. Miss one day, and you feel the loss. Keep the streak alive, and you feel unstoppable. This is the real leverage of small wins. Consistency under pressure produces results so far beyond what most people believe is possible. So ask yourself, when the resistance comes, and it will you take the small step anyway? Will you do what you said you would do, even when life is inconvenient? Because that is the moment your small wins compound the fastest. That is when momentum is forged in the fire of challenge. And that is when you begin to accelerate toward a life that most people will only ever fantasize about. And here is the beautiful truth. Small wins are not confined to one area of your life. They create a ripple effect, spreading outward and touching everything you do. Your finances, your health, your influence, your relationships, your personal growth, they all respond to the immense power of the compounding effect when small wins are applied with consistency. The principle is universal, and the process is always the same. Identify the critical small action, execute it with relentless consistency, and allow the results to accumulate. The universality of this law is critical. Small wins are not domain-specific. The very same approach that transforms a business can transform a marriage, a body, a bank account, and a soul. It is the relentless accumulation over time that matters far more than any single, isolated effort. Life rewards consistency. It magnifies persistent action. That is precisely why small wins are the great equalizer. Anyone, anywhere can apply this principle and achieve results far beyond what their natural talent or luck alone could ever produce. Here's a crucial insight you must grasp. When you begin to focus on small wins across multiple areas of your life, the effects multiply even faster. Momentum in one domain almost always accelerates growth in another. Improving your health gives you more energy and clarity for your work. A stronger relationship creates the emotional stability needed to navigate professional challenges. A few dollars saved each week allows for reinvestment into new skills or education. The growth is not linear. It is an upward spiral. One small win today can branch off into multiple, unforeseen wins in the weeks and months ahead. It all comes back to three simple things: consistency, focus, and patience. The person who respects the small things, who tracks them diligently, who refuses to be thrown off course by momentary setbacks, that is the person who creates a remarkable life, not because of one grand, heroic act, but because of thousands of small, deliberate wins, stacked one on top of the other over time. That is the true, unshakable power of compounding. That is how ordinary people achieve the most extraordinary results. Now we arrive at the moment of decision, because the unvarnished truth is this. Every single day, you are making a choice. You can take the small, deliberate step forward, or you can allow yourself to drift. You can invest in the unstoppable power of the compounding effect, or you can ignore it. You can commit to the tiny daily disciplines that lead to extraordinary outcomes, or you can surrender to the grand illusion that meaningful change happens all at once. The entire distance between a life of aimless drift and a life of profound achievement is measured in the small, deliberate actions you take today. What do you do the moment you wake up? One person rolls over and immediately floods their mind with the negativity of the news or the distraction of social media. Another person takes just 10 minutes to set their priorities for the day, to review their goals, or to take one small action toward their growth. That single tiny choice compounds throughout their entire day. It colors every decision, it shapes their productivity, and it determines the trajectory of their week, their month, and their year. One tiny win in the morning compounds faster and more powerfully than hours of unfocused, reactive effort later on. Think about what you truly desire in this life. Is it wealth? Is it vibrant health? Is it deep, meaningful relationships? Is it personal mastery? All of these things respond to the small, consistent choices you make. It isn't the dramatic, heroic leap that gets you there. It's the careful, methodical stacking of small wins, day after day after day. The person who commits to this path, in every area of their life, begins to compound a personal power and a deep potential that can never be taken away from them. And here is what we cannot afford to forget. Time is your greatest ally, but only if you respect it. The sooner you begin, the more leverage you create for yourself. Delays are not neutral. They compound as losses. Procrastination is the silent thief of destiny. Each day you neglect your small wins, you forfeit the quiet, invisible growth that builds the foundation for every extraordinary result you seek. Start today, and your life begins to accelerate. Wait, and your future slips quietly, almost imperceptibly, out of your grasp. The small wins you commit to are your legacy in the making. They are not temporary. They accumulate and harden into the life you live, the habits you embody, the relationships you build, and the opportunities you create. The compounding effect does not negotiate. It rewards persistence, and it punishes neglect with absolute certainty. Every day counts. Every action matters. Every small victory is a deposit into the account of the life you want to live. So, I ask you one final time, will you start today? Will you honor the small wins, even when they feel insignificant? Will you persist with them, even when the results are still invisible? Your answer to those questions determines your future. The compounding effect is waiting. It is a silent, powerful force, ready to multiply every single choice you make. Choose wisely, commit fully, act now. Before you leave today, burn this into your mind. Your life is nothing more and nothing less than the sum of your small wins and your small losses. Each choice, each action, each decision compounds quietly, unseen, until its power becomes completely unstoppable. No one else can do this work for you. No one can give you shortcuts that will last. The results you crave, the success, the health, the influence, the freedom, they are all built upon the foundation of tiny, repeated daily victories.